feel like, Brady, it's kind of crazy. Reports saying that if the Texans lose to the Raiders on Saturday, Bill O'Brien could potentially be out of his way in Houston. How's that even possible?
I think it's more of the disagreement between the front office and then general manager Rick Smith and really how this season has gone. You know, Brock Osweiler, no matter what anyone wants to say publicly, it wasn't Bill O'Brien's guy. I think it was someone who Rick Smith identified early on was the big get. They wanted to bring him in. They thought that fixed their quarterback issue. And now Rick Smith is trying to put the blame on Bill O'Brien maybe as the offensive mind. And that's been the issue with Brock Osweiler. Not the roster, not the defense, but the quarterback position and Bill O'Brien not bringing him along enough. I don't think that's the case. I just think Brock Osweiler has not had the season and made the jump that they thought he would. He's been extremely inconsistent in the sense of his accuracy, but he's been consistently bad. I mean, that's one thing we know. So at this point, if they parted ways, it would be probably a mistake as far as the front office piece and Rick Smith, them allowing a guy like Bill O'Brien to go. I think he would be on the top of the list of a lot of these openings around the country. We're talking about the NFL.
Pete, back-to-back AFC South championships for Bill O'Brien. Could he really be on the way out?
We talk about ego among players in the National Football League. You know where the biggest egos are? They're on the coaches and the general managers. Those guys, if you can't coexist with a guy to make a team work, making all that money, then you got something wrong with you. And Rick Smith and Bill O'Brien do not get along. That's part of the problem. You can tell Bill O'Brien didn't want Brock Osweiler, and Rick Smith forced him on him. That's just ego. Why can't these guys work together?
Pete, that's why you're at home right now in Jacksonville and I'm here in the studio. They know we can't work together. They have to divide us. They only let us work together a couple of days a week. Come on, Pete. You and I know this.
Fit in that building, Brady.
No, I was going to say
I'm the general manager. You're the head coach. I'm the one kicking you out, buddy.
I was going to say that the biggest ego in the NFL belongs to CBS Sports senior NFL columnist. Now, Pete, arguably, you know what? Forget about arguably. Inarguably, the marquee game coming up on Wild Card Weekend, the New York Football Giants visiting Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Pete, do you believe that the Big Blue defense can slow down Aaron Rodgers, who's obviously on a tremendous roll?
Can they? Yes. Will they? Probably not. But I tell you what, Nick, and I know you're excited for this game being an old Giants fan, and there's something really intriguing about seeing the Giants going into Lambeau. The question is, as it always is, can they rush the passer? That, to me, puts the entire spotlight on Olivier Vernon. This is his game. He's got to show why they paid him all the money. He's going against a hell of a tackle in Bakhtiari. This is all Olivier Vernon. Get a couple knockdowns on Aaron Rodgers, get a couple sacks, and I think the Giants have a chance.
Pete mentioned rushing the passer. I'm going to go with rushing the football. I look at Paul Perkins as the X factor for the Giants. If he can replicate what he did this Sunday against the Washington Redskins, I give the Giants a great chance to win.
Well, you better hope their offensive line steps in then, because Paul Perkins hasn't been the issue. It hasn't been Rashad Jennings. Anyone you want to throw in that category. It's been the offensive line. Eric Flowers hasn't played well. The entire right side of their offensive line has not played well this season. Fortunately, Eli Manning and the receivers have made up for some of those mistakes. But I want to go back and kind of touch on something that Pete was talking about. The problem is, JPP is questionable for this game. If he doesn't play Olivier Vernon all by himself, you can game plan for one defensive end. You can take care of him with a chip, nudge, slide the protection that way, give Bakhtiari some help. That's not a big issue. It's when you have two edge rushers that makes it much more harder to prepare for. That's where I feel like, look, whether it's Romeo Okwara or whoever else, they have to have an impact on the other side of the offensive line against the Packers to have some sort of impact or pass rush in this game. It can't just be all on Olivier Vernon. That's not going to help. And the other thing is, Janoris Jenkins, his back's been bothering him. He's questionable as well. I think he plays. How many snaps he plays will be a big part because Randall Cobb is back. He's practicing. He's going to be playing this game. So now all of a sudden you got Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, and Geronimo Allison, who seem to step up out of nowhere next to Jared Cook at tight end. A lot of weapons for Aaron Rodgers right now. Do
you think that Steve Spagnuolo might have a game plan similar to what they did against the Redskins, where they had 4 sacks in the game, 3 of them coming from the defensive backfield, whether it's Rodgers, Cromartie, Landon Collins, or one of the other DBs?
Look, if you're going to try to compare Kirk Cousins to Aaron Rodgers.
The quarterback scales? Yeah, I would go with Aaron Rodgers.
You're nuts. And I actually think the offensive line for the Packers has played better this season collectively as a whole, and in particular Bakhtiari, than really the Washington Redskins have. So even though they've had their struggles running the football, I still think when you look at this offense, it operates much better than the Redskins. I think if they try that, good luck, because Aaron Rodgers will burn you.